Hi guys, Sharath here. In the previous video I talked about how to create an online resume using Jekyll. In this video I'm going to talk about how to create Jekyll posts, how to get them in an index, and how to structure them. So let's begin creating a new Jekyll project. So Jekyll, I'll call this Jekyll Posts. Inside we have nothing, so I'm going to open this in a IDE. I use brackets for that. You can always use a text file or anything you're comfortable with. So Jekyll Posts has nothing inside. I'm going to create a new file called index.html. So though this is a Jekyll, I'm creating a Jekyll site, we don't really need a configuration file. Jekyll can work without that. So let's create a basic skeleton, HTML skeleton here. I'll call Jekyll, I'll make the title as Jekyll Posts. In the body I don't have anything. I'll have something, maybe h1 post post. I'll have the same thing. So in order to see this, we have to serve it using Jekyll. So open the command window here, use Jekyll serve. This should serve the file in the given address there. Yeah. So it says that configuration file is none, so there is no configuration file, but it still works. So here's the address. So it shows just the h1. So I'll style the page so that it looks good. So in the head itself, I'll have a style tag. I'll style the body to be with a defined width, max width of 760 pixels. I'll have to align that in the center. I'll have margin 50 pixel, top and bottom is 50 pixel, and then left and right is auto. Other than that, okay, font, I'll have 20 pixel font. Family, I'll use COY. I don't know the spelling. If that is wrong, I'll change it. I'll have a backup as sans serif. Anything else? I think that should be enough. Let's see if you have got that. Yes, it's coming as COUI. I'm not pretty sure what it is called, but let's see. Segoy. So it's actually Segoy. Sorry for the spelling mistake there and the pronunciation. So let's see how it looks like. Okay, this is good. Now once we have that, we can create posts. So for creating posts, we will have a new folder called underscore posts. The underscore is important here. This is a special kind of folder. Everything inside is treated as a post. So we can have some posts. So let's there is a format to create posts. It has to be year, month, and then date, and then title. I'll have it as first post dot markdown. You can use markdown, you can use text style, or you can use text as well. So post usually will have a front matter, which is defined in between these three dashes, and then some content. So I usually have dummy content here. So I don't have anything here. I will just put some dummy content. First post, then I'll create some lorem ipsum text if possible. Okay, so I'll have that inside here. For the first post, I'll have one paragraph. We'll create another post. So the same format, 2017-06, maybe the date is also 6, let's say, and then second post .md, same front matter dashes, and then second post, and then the same lorem ipsum. I'll have 2 paragraphs here, and I'll create another post. This time 2017-06-07, third post dot, I'll use txt just to show that it works. I'll have the same front matter, third post, and I'll have 3 paragraphs. Okay, now I'll remove this from the index. I don't want that. Jekyll Posts. So let's imagine we want all the currently there is just Jekyll Post title. We want all the posts, all 3 posts inside in the index file itself. We can use this variable site.posts inside double curly braces, and we'll get all of those. Sorry about that. Okay, site.posts. It's not coming up, it's showing the same variable. This is because we haven't mentioned those front matter dashes here. We have to use that. Now it should show up everything. Okay, so looks like it's showing third post in the beginning, second post, and then the first post. Now it doesn't have any title or anything, like, you know, this is the title we defined in the index itself. So it is not showing the title for the post because we haven't defined any, right? And also site.posts gives out only the content. If we want the title, we'll have to define a title. So let's imagine for the first post, we'll define a title as first post, obviously. For the second post, we'll have I'll just copy that, it's easier. Second, third one, okay. Now we have the titles, but it still doesn't show because we have to, you know, call it here. So let's imagine we want the title of first post. We have to tell it that we want the title of the first post dot title. So this is an array. This is the first item. It will fetch the first item. So here we just get the third post. Let's put it in h2 tag. Okay, we got the title of the first post. Imagine if we want all the titles there, we can just copy them, change it to 1, 2. We'll get all those things, first, second, and third. This is not very practical. This is good, but this is not practical because if you have a lot of posts, you cannot keep writing all this. So what you can do is you can just have a loop, a for loop. So you can define a for loop here. For post, you can have any for item in site.posts. Okay, we'll have a loop. Then we'll have to end the loop, otherwise it will throw an error. There's a for loop, will end for. We'll use end for. Now let's get the titles. h2 item dot title. So here we defined for every item in site.posts. That means everything inside posts, everything will be called item. So this is item.title. So it will fetch the title of every post until the for loop ends. So if you look at the output, it's the same. So it's fetching all the titles. Let's fetch description, or let's fetch the whole content, item dot content. Now this will fetch the whole thing, right? So this is good. This is a good looking website already. Now imagine in the post, or let's imagine the second post, just after this we have another h3, maybe something called subheading. There is a subheading. Now if you see the output, this doesn't look so good, because having subheading as h3 in the description, it doesn't look good. So what we can do here is, in the index, when we are getting the whole content, what we can do is we can strip just the HTML. So what it does is it will take off all those tags, h2 tags in the subheading, and it will just show it as a paragraph. So subheading, this looks good. And also you observe this is small. This is getting all the content from all the posts. So that's not what we want. We want just maybe a little description, maybe in like just 200 characters or just 30 words. So what we can do here is we can also define another filter. Now in the filter we can define truncate words 30. So this will get just 30 words for each post, and then it will put 3 dashes. This looks way better than the than fetching all the content. You can also use just truncate and use how many characters you want. Let's imagine you just want 200 characters. It will fetch only 200 characters. So this is how you can get all the description. Imagine you want a link to the post. Let's imagine to the title you want a link, upon clicking which they should be directed to the post. They should be able to read the whole post, right? So giving it a link makes sense. So what we can do is we can have a tag here around the title. A tag should cover the title, and in the href field we can give item dot URL. So URL of that item. So here I'm calling everything as item, but usually it is not called so. It usually is called post. I'm going to change everything to post just for the convenience. You can have anything there, doesn't make any difference. So anyone who sees the list, they can always go to the post and read it. It's supposed to get it, but I'm not. Okay, get the post here also. Okay, now you can always go there and read it. The styling is different. I'll tell you why, because it doesn't use any of these things. If you want them to be styled, you should define a layout, then define in every post that they have to use this layout, or we can make a default layout and tell all the posts to use it. I'll explain it if time permits. Now this looks okay. Now let's imagine we want a limit. We don't want all the posts to be shown in the file. We just want the two posts here. We can always define in the for loop itself. You can define a limit as 2. So when you define that limit, only the last 2 posts will be shown. The first one, which is old one, will not be shown. Just the 2. You can have any limit there. And style. So you can style this however you want to. So let's imagine you want it in a box. So I'll create a box around it. Around the whole post, I'll create a box and I'll define the style for the box. I'll have a Okay, I'll have a margin bottom because that's necessary of 20 pixels, and a padding of 20 pixels, and border, no, just the border, 2 pixels should be solid, and maybe of the color 333. Now, so these posts have boxes, and also you can have the A tag outside this box so that when somebody clicks on the box, they'll be redirected to the post. From the title, I'm removing it and putting it around the box. Not very advisable, but you can do that. And also this, everything looks like a link. You can also remove that. You can always define just the A text decoration. None. I think that should do it. Yep. The color to be normal 333. Okay, so this looks good. Now styling the post. Post will have a title, so we will have to define that as well. And before that, if you look at the URL here, it shows the whole URL of the post, and after that it shows the whole thing. But here it shows the third post.txt, the whole extension. Actually, if you go to the second post, it shows as HTML, second post HTML. Now we don't really want that to be shown, and we can always define a permalink. So here, in every post, if you have a permalink, let's imagine you have just one first here, and same thing for the second, and similar one for third. So if you have defined the permalink, post will be shown in those permalinks. So if you observe, the whole post is showing in third, second, and first. So this is how you can change the URL however you want to. Finally, the style for the post, we will have to make a layout folder. So this may look a little confusing, but don't worry. So you will have to create a folder called layouts. Okay, in the layouts, we'll create a new file called post.html. So post.html is a layout for posts to use. I'll copy the same thing as an index, not the content, just the outside, and I'll put here as content here. Now what happens is whatever the post is, if you define this layout for post, it will it will use this layout. So let's define for only for the first post. Let's define layout as post. So only first post will go inside here, and in the content place, the whole first post will be placed. Now what happens is, if you open the third post, it's still the same, but the first post will look a little different, and it is styled. Also in the post, you can also define some other things like title. Let's imagine h1. Okay, page dot title. So this is a page variable we are using. So whatever page or whatever document or whatever post uses this layout, this page title will fetch the title whatever is defined. Like for the first one, the title is defined as first post. Whatever the title is defined, it will put it up here. It has to be page.title. It cannot be post.title. Now if you refresh and go to first post, it shows the title and then the content, the whole content. So let's use this for all the posts. Second post has nothing, no styling, no layout. We'll use for the second one as well. Layout as post. Okay. Now everything looks good. Like every post looks good, right? So this is how you can style them and have a layout for the posts. So finally, let's imagine you don't want a post to be published. You're just writing it. Let's say you still haven't finished it. Let's imagine the third post. What you can do is you can always add published as false. And what this does is, like, it says that, Jekyll knows that it shouldn't be published. So even in the list in the home page, it won't list it even in the home page. So it understands that it shouldn't be published. And if you change it to true, it will show up again. Or if you remove that, by default it is true, just remove it, still show up. So that's how we can create posts and get them in a list. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Bye bye.